Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I usually say
Absolutely.
Grand Rising at this
Grand
point.
Rising. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
there's like a whole philosophical reason as to why not to say morning.
Morning. Yeah.
Um, so Grand Rising. It's good to
Grand
see you.
Rising. Yeah.
I see you all the time, but it's good to see you in this space as we do our spiritual shift conversation on our first and third Sunday. So this is the first Sunday of the
This is
month.
the first
Welcome.
Sunday of the month. August.
Yeah.
Leo season
Leo season. All the
is
Leos
here.
in the house. Ah, neither one of us
Yes.
are Leos, but yeah. So welcome those who are coming in. Say hi to us in the comments. We don't
Yeah.
always see the comments, but I'll at one point I'll come in and make sure that we can see the comments. But today's a special spiritual shift. The topic that we're going to kind of get into, I'm going to say the topic in a moment. For those of you though who've never seen spiritual shift before, this is me, Kenya, and then it says B Sean. You're going to hear me call him Barry.
Barry's my real name.
Yeah, Barry's your real.
Vishawn is my real name too. Vishawn Riley is my real name. But
He has multiple names.
my
So
yeah, my friends and family call me Barry. So
there we go. There we go. So we do this discussion. We try to come up with a topic that's kind of compelling, a little bit out of the box, good food for thought. And we just talk about it on this YouTube live and just kind of like to spread some different perspectives on things. And just for this one, I think it's important that everyone understand that Barry and I, we are friends, but we're also partners. We're more than friends.
more than friends.
Yeah, we gonna see more than friends. We're a little more than
More than friends.
but and so today is there's a lot of special things about today. And I didn't really rehearse a whole bunch of how I want to explain, but I think that today's title, which is gonna pop up here, have you ever met or have you met your soulmate?
Mhm.
Which I think is pretty apropos for uh Barry and I. But before we go all into that, and we're gonna share our story toward the end of the chat. We're usually on here an hour. We say 45 minutes. Let's see if maybe we can stick it to 45 minutes this time.
We'll
But
see.
we'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see how the conversation
And
flows.
sometimes when it gets good, when we get going and it just starts getting good, we be like, oh, it's like almost an hour and a half. No, not an hour and a half, but
Right. Right. So it gets hard to just do it for 45 minutes. But
yeah.
so this question of have you met your soulmate? So before I think that a lot of, we talked about this topic on Clubhouse, right? We
We
did this
did
some time ago, a while ago.
a while ago. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty robust conversation. It was a good conversation. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was really good. So we thought we would bring it in this space and particularly this weekend because and we'll share our story, but this is the weekend that we met. This is a bit of an anniversary weekend for us in
Mhm.
terms of when we met. And it's been really, really special knowing you. And we'll talk more about that at the end. So if y'all want to hear all the goods, no, we're not going to
Yeah,
give all the goods.
not all the goods, but yeah, it'll relate to like the topic of the day. You
It
know,
absolutely does. It
you know,
absolutely
meeting your
does.
soulmate. Um, yeah, and what that's all about.
Right, right. So, Barry, how would you define soulmate?
A soulmate. Um, Somewhat. Well, let me let me put it into a broader context. I mean, I am of the understanding that when we incarnate here on this planet, that we do it in what's called soul families. Like you have been coming and going for multiple times with the same group of people. Um, So that's a larger context, and you're here to work through certain things in your life, in your spiritual journey, work out problems, experience things that you wanted to experience, all that type of stuff. So when it comes to like a romantic partner or something like that, um, I understand a soulmate to be someone, and this is I'm pulling a lot from my own personal journey. Someone that you also have come and gone with many times
Mm,
in
mm,
other lifetimes,
mm.
and you meet them again in this lifetime to experience new things, to finish up some unfinished business. Um, yeah, and it's so that's just the definition of it, sort of like a definition. I can get into like the more specifics of like, well, how do you know they're your soulmate, or you know, are there can you have more than one soulmate? All these type of things. But that's kind of just the basics. It's someone that you've journeyed with before, like you've known them before in another lifetime.
Mm.
You meet them in this lifetime, and you guys connect on a very deep level. It's not just like, oh my God, look at this girl, she's just fine, like, oh, look at her. It's not
It's a
just
part
that.
of it. It's part of it,
That's
but
a part of it. Like, you definitely are attracted, but it's a little deeper than that. Like, sometimes you meet someone and you're attracted to them, and then you're not attracted to them.
mm,
You
right.
just keep it moving. Soulmates, in my understanding, is a little different. The attraction is deeper. It's more lasting. Um, so can I give the example from Black Love?
Absolutely. Black
Yeah.
Love
So
meaning the docu-series that
the
comes on.
docu series. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we were watching it last night.
we were.
One of our go-to shows.
Yep.
So Jada Pinkett's mom was talking about how she had met this guy 25 years, prior. She was married. They couldn't really. They had a extreme connection, like a serious connection. She was in that marriage for 25 years. Divorced that guy, and I think married another. I think
I
after the
think I
25
think
year one,
I think
she
what happened, she was actually when she saw her current husband, she
yeah,
was married to her second
her
husband,
second husband, right? So then she divorced him, and then she married another guy,
a
and
third husband.
that was the 25-year stint.
Right. Right.
Divorced him, and then she was at an event, some party, some dinner, something, whatever. And then the guy that she had met 25 years prior walks in, and she was just like,
Right.
and was just like, ran over to him and hugged him, and like, oh my God. And they had a connection, that same connection that she had 25 years prior, it was still there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then they're married now. They think they've been married like 5 years or something.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I mean. It's like your soulmate. That's the kind of connection that it is. It 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 exists past space and time.
Mm,
It
mm,
exists beyond space and time. It's yeah, it's deep. It's not just physical. It
absolutely.
is physical, but it's yeah. So
Yeah.
that's my short
That's
definition.
your short.
That's my short
Well,
definition.
yeah. I mean, you could we defining, I think, and that's your perspective, right? And so one of the things with spiritual shift, we always try to tell people this is not law, this is not you know, written
It's
in
just my
concrete.
opinion. This is
That
just
is
my
his opinion,
That's just my
right?
opinion
It's his opinion.
of what it is.
No, and my opinion is very similar. I do, so I co-sign everything you say. I think also though, soulmate can come in the form that's not romantic, and I think you kind of mentioned this, that soulmates can just be these soulful connections. that I agree that we've had in multiple lifetimes. So they can come in the form of friendships. They can come in the and I, because I have certain friends that I consider as like, and maybe I call them soul partners, but soulmate, soul partners, meaning the way that we connect, the way that we know each other, the way, that we're able to, after years of not, we might go a really long time of not talking. And then when we do, it's just click, click, click. It feels very spiritual. It feels very connected. And so, and I don't have like a whole bunch of, friends like that, but I have a couple that I'm like, yeah, we're definitely soulmates. Like we've done this dance of friendship. And maybe in a past life, I was a male and you were a female, I mean, who knows? Maybe it was something deeper, but we definitely have a connection.
Mhm.
And then on the other side, then there's that romantic side that can also be. And I don't think that I am very big on, you don't have one romantic soulmate. I think in my opinion, you have to be very careful thinking you need to find the one and that is it ever in this whole long life journey that you do. And because that to me, and we'll get into this, this is one of my questions later, what is the whole point of a soulmate? Why do we even need a soulmate? And there to me is a very specific reason why, which means we may have multiple depending on your soul's journey, depending on the experience you came here to have, and the lessons you came to learn and the contracts that you've made. So I'm pretty public, we've been pretty public, both of us have been married before. And not to speak for Barry, but I think you believe your wife was a soulmate, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely, right. And I believe that my ex-husband was definitely a soulmate. So, so I think what I kind of challenge people is to not think very so singularly maybe about soulmate, and understand that soulmates, maybe you will have a singular experience in a soulmate, but maybe you won't. And that goes a little bit deeper into what we'll talk about in a moment, is why is it even important? Because in my opinion, there's some very critical lessons that we came here for. And some people learn lessons. We all learn lessons in different ways and in different experiences. And a soulmate connection is definitely a space to really learn a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, I co-sign my
Yeah.
short long too.
Yeah, sure one. Yeah, I agree. You don't necessarily have one soulmate, and it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. But since we're talking about the romantic side of soulmate, yeah, the soulmate relationship is, it's multiple. You can have multiple soulmates.
Right.
Which is
And if you're watching this, or if you're watching it playback, in the comments, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are about what a soulmate is. And because again, the whole point of these conversations is for conversation and to hear other perspectives, and not always kind of live in one zone of perspective. So definitely, whether you're watching live or in playback, put in the comments. I probably won't be able to see the comments in lifetime because there's a whole section that I can't see, but we can go back and look at it. So, all right. So my next question for you, Barry, is there's these other terms that we hear, particularly twin flame and soulmate. So what is that twin flame? Is that the same thing to you? Is that different? Is it
Mhm.
better? Is it worse? What's that twin flame thing about?
From my understanding, a twin flame is someone that you share your soul with. It's like you guys are part of the same soul,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you don't. Also, from my understanding, you don't have multiple twin flames. You only have like one twin flame. And
Mm.
it's something. It's someone that you share a part of, your soul with. So yeah, that's kind of what I understand it to be. I don't know a whole lot about it,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what I understand it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's my understanding too. I think I think we have to be careful with twin flames because twin flames, I think when you meet, if you in fact meet a twin flame, and energetically what that can do, it can feel very strong because you're of your twins in terms of how your soul moves and feels. So it can feel very, very strong and very immediate and very fast. And so it can, in our human mind, our humanness, it can very quickly, I think, be misunderstood as this is the soulmate. This is it. Because the connection is just so fiery. And that's kind of hence the flame. It's so fiery. It's so immediate. It's so electric. It's so but then it like crashes and it burns, and then it like these weird things. It's so inconsistent, but I'm so drawn to it, and so I think, a lot of people, we in movies and in film, and the way that we show love and connection in a lot of mainstream space is very twin flamey like.
Mhm.
And so then if we experience that, it's like, there we go. That's my one. That's it.
That's my one. Let's get married.
Let's
That's how
get
she goes.
married
Yeah.
after a week. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times people, when they feel that getting married really fast or moving in together, or just a very quickness about it, and a very heated and a very, that is, so if you've experienced that, the danger of that is, again, your twin flame isn't really there necessarily to teach you the lessons that a soulmate is there. A twin flame is just kind of a replicate of your soul. So that's why that becomes kind of fiery and not compatible, because, which is going to kind of bring me to my next question. There is a point of having soulmates. There is a point of that. And a twin flame may not be able to offer the lesson and the growth and the evolution, but will just kind of mirror the very things that you're already kind of either really great with, or that you're really all having trouble with, because they're probably having the
Right.
same thing. And so
Right.
they're, yeah.
Right.
You have any
Right.
more feedback on that?
No, I mean, I think you said it very well. It that twin flame experience. And I can't. I don't
I'm
know
gonna
if
say,
I've.
do you have a twin flame? Have you
I
felt
don't.
a
I
twin
don't. I
flame?
don't know if I've ever experienced that. I mean, I have experienced the fiery. You meet someone and it's just like, oh.
Right,
I have
right.
experienced that actually several times. Um, several times. I don't think it was a twin flame though. I don't think it was
Yeah,
a twin flame
yeah.
experience. I just think that we were. Um, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was, but it
Well,
was.
I think, like you
I
said
don't think it was a
before,
twin flame. I don't think it was a twin flame. I think a twin flame, you meet and it's like it's fiery. But the danger, and I think you mentioned this. The danger is that you flame out.
right.
You know,
Burn
you
out.
you flame out with each other,
Right.
um, and then you go your separate ways. Um, yeah, something like that. But
Yeah,
no,
I
I don't have anything to add more to the twin flame concept. Like I said,
Yeah,
I
I
don't have.
wanted to bring that up because I hear that, and I think sometimes that can be confused, and people will think that's in fact what they should be searching for, is a
Right,
twin flame. And
right.
I think when you feel that fiery, I think that, when you were talking about, you've had many times where you've just felt that with somebody. I think that's normal. I mean, again, we have multiple, in my opinion, we're having multiple connections at all times with multiple souls and energies. So I think
Mhm.
that that's common. I think the twin flame, it usually has some length to it, but then some hard crashes, but then it can come right back in again, kind of like, it kind of is a repeat offender a lot of times.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, this is driving me crazy. I think we really probably should be together, but we never can really work together. Like, we've done this like so many times and it never really works. I think
Mhm.
that that has some twin flamey characteristics in it. Whereas, as opposed to that, oh, we just clicked and that was it. Then we didn't, then, I mean, that's not a, I don't think that's just a connection, it's a connection.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the difference, the name, like a twin flame. Whoever came up with that name, I don't know who came up with that name, but
I don't either.
it's flames, consume and burn,
Mm-hmm.
and they do light up
Right,
and provide light, but they do burn and consume as well.
right.
And I think that's kind of like the nature of those interactions, those relationships. And it's hard to, when you have a flame going, it's very challenging to manage a flame,
Yep.
you know. So it feels good while it's burning. He's like, this is great. And then when it flames out, this is like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
bye. See you
So,
later.
so you
Don't
have to
call
be
me.
careful.
Lose my number.
Right. So you have to be careful with that
You have to
because
be careful with it. It's.
yeah, it can be really disturbing. And I mean, uh, I think a lot of that happens
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. So that that was that. So why do you think, Barry, it's even important? I mean, there's kind of some obvious reasons why, yeah, it would be nice to find a soulmate or to have your soulmate because all the love and it's connected and we just feel so good. But beyond kind of the obvious, why do you think or do you think, I shouldn't say why, do you think it's important to have a soulmate for spiritual growth?
Absolutely. If you're interested in spiritual growth, everyone's not interested in spiritual growth.
Mm.
We have the fluffeteers,
You said, oh my
like,
God, did you say fluffeteer?
yeah, the fluffeteers. Yeah,
Oh,
the fluffeteers. The
let's,
people, and this isn't, and let me not say it in a judgy way because I don't want to be judgy about it. It's okay to just
I
want
was going to say, you're going to have to qualify fluffy, a
fluffy.
fluffy.
Is just kind of like you don't really want a relationship that's too deep. You just want to have a family and be in love and do all the things that people in love like to do, which is, have fun and enjoy each other and travel and go to dinner and go to Walt Disney World with the kids. And, that's
You're
great.
going to get some rub back. Okay. So
No,
that's great.
there's,
That's
it
great.
should,
But that's
it
not,
shouldn't,
that's a,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'm saying I wanted to say that because when you're talking about a soulmate, that's, you know, if you're really looking for a soulmate, why you would want a soulmate. Because when your soul wants certain things. Your soul is not going to be satisfied with just fluff. That's not the nature of a soul. You know what I'm saying? Um, so your soul is going to always push you to experience deeper and deeper things so that it can grow, because the soul wants to grow. That's why it came here, so it could grow. Now, so that's why I qualify the fluffy, which that sometimes, and it's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's really what you wanted to do, was just experience certain
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be just fluffy. It's okay. You know, I represent the deeper aspects of soulmate um, experience, or the pursuit of a soulmate. So that's why I had just had to qualify the fluffy. It's okay.
It's all right.
Um, but for someone that's just looking for a soulmate and they want to experience growth on a deeper level, why it's important, to find your soulmate or to have a soulmate, is it because that relationship it's gonna challenge you. It's going to help you become a better person while you're a person, here.
Right.
And
Right.
then it's going to um it's gonna help your soul experience things that it wanted to really experience, to grow and to develop and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's why it's important. I mean, and then the thing is that when you're just doing the fluffy stuff, you're also growing because you're
Right.
experiencing things. You're
Right.
also growing because you're
Right.
experiencing things. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't like making
But you aren't
it
mean
sound.
toward those who just want fluff, and there's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with.
it's
But
nothing
there's
wrong with that.
lessons, and fluff. Maybe fluff is a harsh word, but I think that depending on different phases we're in our life, we may not have the bandwidth for depth, so we just need just a
Absolutely.
little. Just a little fluff,
Love,
just to
love.
help us kind of
Right. I
stay
understand.
connected.
I mean, you know, like we've been, moving around for a couple years now. So, our soulmate journey has taken us deep into some things. But after we do that, we're like, okay, can we? Well, I know me. I don't know about you, but me, I'm like, okay, I just need a couple fluff. I just need a little fluff right now.
Ah,
Can we just get some fluff? Can we just do
see
some
the
walk? Just do
Scorpio kid, yeah, she don't fluff don't even ever pass her braid. It's always intense. Always.
exactly, exactly. So that's why I was like, fluff is not bad because you need to.
Right.
I know I need a break from the intensity,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
fall back on the fluffy pillows and I have the fluff. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that because I do think again how depending on how you're wired. I mean, we've talked about astrology before. I'm really into that right now, and the more I learn it, the more I recognize why I'm so intense. Because I'm learning more. But yeah, so I agree with you. I think having a soulmate, again, depending on what your soul kind of came here for and wanted to experience, it's a beautiful way to get to some significant development. And I think that if you are in relationship and you find yourself wanting more, or find yourself like, feeling stagnant, or find yourself feeling like, well, he's nice, or she's cute, she's nice, and it's fine, then that's probably your soul kind of suggesting to you wanting, needing more. That doesn't necessarily mean only put that on another human's, you know, task force. That also means you doing a lot of personal spiritual work and development and growth. But I think what the beauty of what a soulmate or a partnership can do, whether it's fluff or not, is teach you lessons that it has the potential to teach you lessons that you otherwise can't really experience individually, even though you may be doing a fair amount of work. There are certain things that because our human capacity still only has, I mean, we still have a certain finite capacity as humans. And kind of the beauty of a soulmate, they can kind of see you from a space where you may not necessarily be able to see yourself. And therefore, they typically unconsciously, they're not really knowing they're doing this, but subconsciously will trigger or do or push or pull a bit at you, and you'll respond a certain way. And then, yes, you end up in kind of this conversation or argument or whatever. And then that's when you realize, okay, you know what? That's something I need to look in myself a bit more, because you know what, you tend to bring that out of me. I don't seem like I have that issue until when we kind of, but I still really care about you and I don't want to not be with you, but I see that this is something that keeps happening. So to me, that's, there we go, there's that opportunity that a soulmate can bring for you, to help you along this journey. Because, like you mentioned earlier, to me, there's this soul contract that we make, and we make kind of these agreements with each other prior to, these spiritual agreements with each other, that I'm going to help you in this way and you're going to help me in this way. And understand that help in the spiritual realm don't look necessarily like the help that we, so it can come in the form of rub, contrast, challenge, trauma, like a lot of loss. Like it can come in some pretty heavy spaces, but those heavy spaces are doing it to create transformation. So
yeah, I mean, I think you said a key word. Whether it's fluff, whether it's intense, that we we're coming from somewhere, going somewhere, as beings, as souls. We're here to sort of expedite or facilitate that transformation process. That's something that we don't really. So the soulmate is a catalyst. It can be a catalyst for that transformation.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
whether it's, if you take the fluff route, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, that may be what you wanted your journey to be in this life, or maybe a part of your life. If you take the intense soulmate, like always, intensity, and that's like, that is what you wanted in this life. You
Absolutely.
know, I think the key is to be aware of yourself, and to really be able to tap into your inner self so that you're in touch with what's going on. Like a lot, whether you're fluff or intense or whatever,
Whether you're fluffy or not.
whether you're fluffy or not, it's like a lot of people just aren't really in touch with who they are. Like their soul is like screaming like ah, and they just don't hear it. They don't hear their inner self, their real self speaking.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the challenge is, you know.
Yeah, this can be a really challenging space. I mean, I think, we kind of use the word soulmate in a very fluffy way a lot of times, but this can be a very deep aspect. And I think if you're attempting, some people just don't even want to get into all of that because there's just a lot of pain around relationship for them. And so they'd rather just see if they can really develop their soul by in other ways, which I think is absolutely the case. I mean, this is for me, when you talk about getting to know yourself, this is why this is so critical. You have to start to really begin to start looking at what are my predispositions, what do I tend to do that I know kind of gets me in a conundrum. What are those things that when I do, I get a lot of abundance? What are those things that when I experience, whatever, like, some people, their careers, there's a lot of lessons they get in their careers. There's a lot of, transition and loss and gain. And there's a lot that spiritually they gain from that. And that may be the part of your life where it really, is really ignited. It may not be as much in relationship, but I do think that relationship is still a very you have it in you. We all have an aspect of that of needing, and it's very connected to our childhood. It's very connected to healing. The conditioning that may have happened to us when we were younger, and in our adulthood we then find these soulmates to help us recover and heal. Any relationship, no matter what capacity, has the ability, a huge ability for healing. It's just sometimes not as apparent. So
Yeah.
um
It's well, let me just jump in and say something like the you have to be in relationship with something. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
you can't just be on a rock.
You can't be by yourself. Like you can
Yeah.
be on a rock. You can be on a rock. Like, but you're still in relationship with nature. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like if you're in the woods, if you're on a mountain, if you're a monk, you're always in relationship
that
with
is true.
something.
That is true.
So your soul is always on a journey to experience itself through the opposite of itself.
Mm,
That's the
mm.
nature of the reality that we're in, the duality of this reality, the duality of this reality. That
The
sounds funny.
duality of the reality.
So you have to, and that's part of the soul's journey to experience itself through through some type of opposite. You have the male and you have the female. Okay, so that's the opposite. If you're sitting on a rock, you're still gonna have to experience the opposite some kind of way so that you can understand what it is that you need to understand to grow or to develop. You
Hmm.
know, um,
Yeah.
so it's just that most people are not going to be sitting on a rock. They're not going to be in the woods. So you're going to have to be in a relationship with someone, either your coworkers. And see, the thing about your coworkers, that's fine. And you do spend a lot of times with your coworkers. Um, are you are people tapped in to their personal growth and development at their job? You know, sometimes,
Sometimes.
but
Yeah.
when you're in a relationship, it's like the risk or the
Ah.
the thing is always like, oh, if we break up, if we're going to stay together, you know, that's what it is.
Right. No, I mean, I think the intimacy that, relationship, whether it's friendship or something romantic, that's kind of where there's a different intimacy, obviously, than working and, and how you gauge the work environment. But I wanted to say this, and we're already at 35 minutes. So, and I want to make sure that we share a little bit of kind of just, a snapshot of our journey. But, I have a couple people very close to me who are single, who are not in relationship, and who really have they really just don't feel the necessity and feel very happy, feel very complete, without necessarily having a relationship. And so I want to, I in talking about soulmate, from my perspective, I'm not talking about this to suggest that now you go and everybody got to go, you must find your soulmate. I think everybody is wired very differently and has a very unique soul journey. And I think sometimes the obvious is not so, the obvious can be the obvious, but sometimes there's some things that are maybe not as obvious. And so this is why you have to really be honest with self, because it can get really comfortable. The thing is when we're not in relationship, bless you, when
Thank
we're
you.
not in relationship, there is an ability to be very safe, right? Because we can control kind of I can control my reactions. I don't have to negotiate things. I don't have to worry about all of the drama or the potential of it. I don't have to keep in mind. I can just really just nurture myself, and I can just be in that. And I think that that's a very important aspect of being a human, is to be able to nurture self within self without necessarily needing others, right? But what I always ask people is to just, ask yourself a little bit deeper questions and go to childhood,
Mhm.
because that's typically, there's a reason why we protect. And it can be a deeper thing. Now, if you yearn for partnership and you just haven't found the soulmate, and so that's what's kind of leaving you, that's a very different conversation. But if you find yourself not really yearning that and feeling really complete, I think, okay. But and no, but I think, and like you said, just understand the soul's here for a journey. And so this journey may come in the form of career. I know many people where career becomes very heavy as a part of, but you have to be careful with that, because that can disguise itself as the depth that the soul needs, when in fact that may be a way that you're protecting yourself from maybe having an experience that could push your soul even further, that could actually make the career even maybe go even bigger. So it is a very personal thing. I know that, my friends who have chosen to stay, without relationship and just really focus on themselves for as long, and happy with it, maybe with never finding, the connection. I think that I want to give that grace and compassion as well, because that may just be where you are in your journey, and and that is fine. But I
That's
think if you find yourself wanting more and feeling like, or you're feeling like you're in a current relationship and it's not pushing your soul, I don't think the first thing is to break up with the person, or just get on a dating app and find somebody fast so that you can feel the void. I don't think that. I think it always starts with, let's take a real true inventory on self. And you can do that in partnership. You don't need to be physically by yourself to begin to work on self. In fact, I hope you're not. I hope that you are working on self no matter what. Okay, no matter what, whether you're in partnership or you're not, that self component is still really important.
right.
So, in our kind of last 10 or so minutes, so we don't have to give all, but this, as we had said, this weekend, Barry and I are in a partnership. We are in a relationship, an exclusive one-on-one relationship. And, we both have been married before. So we were both married the same length of time, ironically, or maybe not so ironically. And we actually went to the same college. We went to Howard University, but didn't know each other at Howard. So we both graduated in 1994. How many years ago is that, Barry? That's 30?
No, it's not 30. It's maybe 20.
Almost 30.
Because like the 25
Okay.
year reunion was a couple years ago. So it's like
Just like
25
20.
plus years.
Yeah, so probably around
20,
27 or
26,
some 27.
27, something like that.
So what's crazy is we were at Howard literally for several years. They're together but never crossed paths. And didn't cross paths until until these several years later, and both, single and free, and what have you. And so this is the anniversary of the weekend that we first talked to each other and met each other. And so, Barry, you can share maybe why. I mean, we won't go into all kinds of time, all the details of how we met and all that. You can share whatever you want to share. What is it that you want to share, whether it be how we met or why you feel like this is like a soulmate connection that's happening between us.
Mhm.
Um, what you want to share? What you
What
got?
you want to say? What do I want to say? Yeah. So this is So yeah, it was uh, 2 years
Mhm.
this weekend,
Mhm.
um, and we met through. So when I found myself, so I was married for 20 years, and I found myself single again through a series of unfortunate, tragic events. Um, my former wife passed. God, this is not only was it tragedy, but that my wife passed, but now I'm like back in the lion's den of being single and wanting relationship. So me being who I know I am, and I'm very in touch with myself and my soul. I've been on a soul journey since I was a child, and I'm very familiar with it. I'm very aware of lots of things spiritually. So I knew this was going to be. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be challenging. Um, so I launched out into the social, what is it? What a dating app, the dating app scene, and it was just tragedy. It was just like, oh my God, I hate this stuff. And I had went on dates and talking to women and this, that, and the other, and it was just like, this isn't gonna work for me. I'm not gonna really do this. This is not. So I had actually, and you've heard this story many times, Jinya, because we talk about this kind of over and over again. But so deleted, I had deleted the my dating apps. I was like, F these apps. I hate them. You know, go to hell. I hate y'all. Because it was just like, no, I can't do this. So I thought I deleted all of my dating apps off everything, all of my devices. And then 2 years ago, Thursday, this past Thursday, was that the 4th?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I got a notification. You know, I can't remember whether it said Kenya liked you or something. Like what? I was like, I told y'all, leave me alone. I hate y'all. Where you? I thought I deleted you off my phone. So I was like, okay. So I looked. I was like, okay, this is the last time I'm gonna do this. So I looked, I followed the notification and went to the app and looked at the profile, and I was like, oh, she's cute. And I read your profile, and it was very interesting. And I think I've shared with you that I actually did something. I think I asked you a question or responded to a
You
question or something like that.
responded. Yeah.
Responded
Yeah.
to a question, and I went real deep with the answer. Like I went like, because I wanted to. I'm not really the fluffy guy, you know. I do like fluff here and there periodically, you know, in different,
Yeah,
different
you
times and stuff.
too.
I
Yeah,
do. I do.
you
I'm not
too.
even gonna lie. I mean, I like it, but I can be intense, and I can be, so I sent her the answer to the question, and I was just like, this is gonna be This is going to be it. I'm going to send her this answer, and she's not even going to know what I'm talking about. She's not even going to know how to respond to this question, to my answer. And I did it on purpose. And I sent her the response, and I was like, okay, guess I don't have to deal with her no more. So then next thing you know, like it was like, I got an answer back. Bling! And I read the answer, and I was just like, oh my God, that's an amazing response to my response. So I sent her another response back.
Yeah.
Back. I was like, and then I was like, she's not gonna be able to answer this question. She's just not gonna be able to answer. And sure enough, she answers it, and it was another amazing answer. And I was just like, oh. So that was the beginning of the thing. That was
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Oh, I think it went out for a minute. Oh no. The internet. I don't know if it's going out for others or if it's just me. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Just as you were telling an amazing story, I can't hear you. Oh, okay. I don't know what has happened. I can't hear you if you can. Oh, there you are. Oh, you're spinning out. You're spinning out. You're spinning out. Well, hopefully he can come back. But that's I'll tell my kind of side. And I will tell him, we said if this happened, because this happened before, there's something, we're actually in the same space, but we want it to, it's a little bit easier when when we are in separate rooms. I think visually it's just easier, but yeah, he's gonna come. He's just gonna come and join me down here because that's what happens. And I don't know. I think the internet in the room. I know. Come on down. Come on down. We're gonna wrap up in just a moment anyway. You know what? The stool upstairs you can bring. So we try to do it in separate spaces, just so that visually, and then we have these technological problems, but that's not an issue. So yeah, so that's how it was really interesting. And we've done this connection and had these Q&As that are amazing, ever since. So yes, it was, that was how we met. The only thing that I will add, until Barry kind of comes, and we might ask one more question, but you know, here, come on through, come sit next to me. We'll put the mic in the middle. There you are. I know. We try to be professional and separate, but that's okay, because I'm glad that it doesn't happen when you're away at another, at your house or whatever, because then we wouldn't. That would just be it. Bye, Barry.
Oh well.
Oh well. So no, I was gonna.
So let me just finish that piece up, and then
I want to give a little context, because I think it's very different going from having someone who's deceased to coming out of a divorce, and then doing.
So I was amazed that she was able to answer questions that I was posing or responding to. It showed that she was more than fluffy. She was more than fluffy. She was able to really engage with me at a level that I was interested in engaging at. And I was intrigued. I was just like, this is amazing. And then we went back and forth. And so one of the challenges that I was having with dating through these apps was none of the women, I was just like, I'm not going to be talking to you through this app. Like, what are you doing? So within a few moments after that first interaction, she was like, can we talk? Can we just, talk on the phone? I was like, yes. Can we talk like grown people? Like, can I just talk to you on the phone and we could just sit on the phone and talk?
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, okay, here's my number. Like, shoot me your number, and then we can see what it is.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah. No, and it's so funny because we had a very different lens going into the app. So you shared kind of your perspective, and I'll share this real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up. But so, and I want to say this is a bit of a sensitive, because I really respect, your wife is deceased, but my ex-husband, he's still around, and so I respect him, and so I think it's very important. That's why I do consider him definitely a soulmate, and someone that, I mean, we have children together, we have a amazing family together, so it's very high regard. So leaving a marriage and moving towards something different in your life is a very different mindset going on, right? And for me, in my spiritual, my personal, I started my personal journey of really attempting to better understand Kenya decade ago. And so, I had, while I was married, that's kind of how I decided I couldn't be married anymore, because there was so much about myself that I recognized I wasn't being able to really tap into. Not just because just the relationship wasn't wired in the way that I know I need it. And so it was a really tough decision. But when I decided, once we decided to be divorced and I moved into my home, and, it was COVID and all the things, I was in therapy. I've been in therapy for 3 million years, and coaching, and connection at the level that I had really wanted in my life had been going on for a really long time for me, even within the marriage. There was another thing that I knew I needed to tap into. But then when I was now newly single, and very, very newly single, and then I have the voices of the society and the mainstream, girl, you need a whole 10 years, by yourself before you can even think about a man. That's kind of the way people, make it appear like, oh, you going through a divorce, or you ain't ready. And so I was holding that. And so my therapist, who, just thank God for her and who she is, she had learned so much about me. She's like, Kenya, a lot of your healing, a lot of the way your soul is wired is going to be through relationship. It really is going to be through relationship. And so, and not just these lovey-dovey, but these maybe painful relationships too. And so she had challenged me to begin to start talking to men and begin to explore that, and begin to, so that I can start I have worked so hard on myself. Now, can you do this in, whatever. So I was just kind of playing around with the apps. I was just kind of like, well, what is this? And I wasn't fully taking it like, this is it. This is the one. This is where I'm trying to. It was like, what? Let me just see. And so I had been on the app for a few months, but I'd never took anything really. I met a couple people, talked to some people, met maybe one other person, whatever on that. But at the time when you came around, I literally was more like, well, you know what? It was starting to feel like a little bit of a game. It was starting to feel like, oh, I'm bored. Let's look at who's whatever. And so when I saw your profile, I was like, he's cute. And I went through this whole kind of in my head, well, if I had this and this, and I don't know. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You're supposed to just be yourself and just see, this doesn't have to be deep. So I went ahead and I swiped you. And even when you did that, I just asked you what's COVID life or quarantining life for you. And yeah, he came back with a profound answer. It was amazing. For me, it was my jam. It's my butter. That's where I rock and roll, was in that. And nobody had ever, because that was my standard question. And so nobody had come even no close to this. And I responded saying, I love this. La, la, la. And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said I love this to it. Maybe I shouldn't use that language. Anyway. So I knew very quickly, energetically, even before I just could look at your aura in your picture and tell there was something different. I wasn't like, this is the one, but I was like, something different. But then when we started talking, that was just,
your aura was blazing. It was just like, bing, like what? Because I was on those apps heavy. My nephew had got me on these apps. I was like, damn him. Like, damn you, boy. but he was, he got me on these apps. He's like, oh, you got to get on these apps, man. And I was like, put it on my phone, man. Just do it. Whatever.
And my girlfriend, because I was a little resistant to her, and she was like, oh no, we'll try this app, try that app. And so I'm trying, and but beyond the app thing, what I will say, and then we'll wrap it up, because we definitely have done our hour. I think when we first started talking, we didn't come into the space like, well, I didn't feel like we came into the space like, now I need to find out, are you the soulmate? Like, it was very casual. I think the way that we have done our relationship for the past 2 years is to give each other a lot of space to do our individual work,
Right.
because we are coming from very, very long-term relationships that have a lot of layers to them and a lot of ourselves intertwined in them. And so now coming together in this space, what's been so refreshing for me with you is how much compassion, how connected you can be while also give space. Like that is a really amazing quality, because I need still space, right? I'm
Right.
still developing and
Right.
healing, and I think that you too also need that, and that
Yeah.
I think is what has kept us in this relationship, or for the past 2 years, is that at the first several months we were just kind of casual. We were just kind of, we were very honest, telling how we felt about each other, and the connection was deep. It was deep from the get-go.
See from go.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we haven't hurried this. I think we've been really patient, and we still are. I mean, we're still learning each other. We're still understanding. We're still, trying to figure out what works best. But it's been a really fun process. And
Mhm.
because I'm deep and I like, I get real in there, and he's like, okay, and so it's teaching me how to kind of set boundaries and all of that. And so I like this pace.
Yeah, I mean, I was just on the soulmate thing. I was immediately knew that we were connected more than just physical attraction, um, which was good. I was like, okay, yeah. But because I know how I move when it like if I just want to, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You know what I'm saying? So if I just wanted to hit it, then that's one thing. It's like I'm not really looking for. Um, and to be honest, because I've shared this with
I'm
you,
like, oh, what else he
you
gonna
know,
say?
I wasn't really looking for like
Oh yeah,
I've shared. I was like, I'm just really
yeah.
looking for the little dip, you know. But
And
that's not
that's
what.
also, I think, what worked with us, because neither one of us were looking for a relationship.
Yeah, I
Like,
wasn't really
yeah,
looking for like what
no,
actually showed up.
no,
You know,
we
I
weren't
was
looking
I
for
was
that.
I was looking for a philosophical
Dip.
dip, somebody that I could actually like get it
And
to,
she was,
and no, I was like, oh, I can't do this.
yeah, yeah,
It's like no,
yeah.
I can't do
No, I think that's what helped us,
that. Right.
And can I say this? And then, because we could go on. We need to do part two. I will say this. If I look at, because for my spiritual, Barry and I had our first conversation on my father's birthday, and my father is deceased, and so yesterday, August 6th, is my dad's birthday, and that was the first time we actually talked on the phone. And so that day was already a very, it's always, since his passing, has always been a pretty paradoxical day for me.
Hmm.
And so to have had my first conversation with you on my dad's birthday, to me also signified how much the ancestors, how much this was bigger, and the fact that here we are. I couldn't tell at that point, right? Because I didn't know you, so I didn't. You could have been crazy the next day. I mean, I didn't know, but now in hindsight, and I look at how all of that's been orchestrated, because there's some other symbolic date things that were happening around that time. It's like, wow, this really is definitely a spiritual thing going on here. Well, this
Hmm.
is not just about he's cute, I'm cute, we're nice, it's not that. It's a deeper mission. And your deceased wife, her birthday's the day before my dad's, which would have been like the day when we were kind of
That was
typing.
the day that we were
Yeah, saying the deep messages.
saying the deep messages on the app. It was that actual
It was
day.
that day. And I didn't know that, because you didn't
Right.
obviously mention
So I
that
was
in.
already in a space
Right, right,
mentally, emotionally on that day.
right, right.
So it was interesting.
It was very interesting. And then we went on our first date. Our first date, because we was just, we talk about twin flame. I mean, I didn't feel the fiery. I felt like the passion, like, or not I felt the connection, but it wasn't like, it was just like, oh, I want to know this guy. And so we decided to meet for dinner for the first time on August 7th, this date.
This date, yeah.
And it was the dinner that was like, oh, This is not gonna just be a flyby situation. I could
Mhm.
already tell. And so yeah, we've been dancing ever since.
And I think that's the important thing. Like when you, this is why you have to be in touch with who you are and your stuff, like what it is that makes you you, and who are you, and what do you, beyond just the ooh she looks good,
Right. Right.
beyond all of that. Because when we met and we started talking, and the energy of the interaction, you have to be, so you have to be in touch with yourself. You got to understand, like you have to be familiar, you have to be able to kind of understand energy and like what it is, kind of like to kind of
You have to,
interpret the different
yeah.
energies that's
You
happening. And if you like, and that's what really makes a, so like you identify like this person is gonna, this is a soulmate, this is someone that I've known before.
yeah. Yeah.
Because and a lot of people can do that, a lot of people
Mhm.
understand like what we're talking about and what we're explaining. If you don't, then this is where some learning should probably happen
Yeah.
for you, because
Yeah.
that would make your journey and your pursuit of a soulmate so much easier to identify,
And
you know.
that piece of really learning yourself, like we're sharing our story, that is not that's not meaning then that should be the story, right? um I know that the way that, and I'm learning even more, the way that I'm wired, connection is so critical for me. Like it's a really important part, and I've had to learn that and accept that about myself. And I'm going to be just straight up honest, as a woman, um you know men have the more flexibility to just kind of date and kind of, like you said, dip and da, 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 da. I mean, society is not really like looking at you like that. But as a woman, if I were to say, well, yeah, I just kind of wanted to dip, and I just kind of, it's like, oh, and especially as a mother and someone who came out of a marriage, it's like, whoa, what's wrong with her? And I had, for me, that was really kind of bothering me, right? That I was like, there's still things that I want to explore and have. And so I had to really get on a path, not only learning me, but accepting that there are certain parts of me that don't jive the way other people jive, and that's okay. That I do partnership may be different, and that's okay. And even now, the people who are close, they will ask me, so you and, yeah, Barry, it's been a while now. It's like, yeah, girl, and we just chilling. We good. We good, and there's different things that, I have for my future planned, and I'm, yes, we're in a partnership, and as it is right now, we'll see, right? But I think staying in the moment and knowing yourself, that will help, because that was going to be my one of my last questions, is how do you go about, what are some advice, for people who want to really connect with a soulmate?
Mhm.
And to me, the first thing is self. You've got to really get curious about self. Not so much just know self, get curious, because curious suggests questions. Curious suggests digging maybe a little bit deeper than the obvious. Curious suggests, I do this, but why do I do this? Is that just me? But why is that just me? Is that a conditioned me, or is that a me that's really true to me? Or is that a me that I've done to kind of defend myself and protect myself? Because otherwise you're going to meet and draw in people who are addressing those things that you may not even be aware of. So, I
Mhm.
say start with really getting a therapist, a coach, somebody who can help put a mirror on you a little bit, and then you journaling and reflecting and taking time for yourself and asking and getting curious and that. And then from there, there's a myriad of steps that can happen. But what do you think?
Awesome.
What do you think? Anything else?
um I
And
would
then we
agree
gonna
with
go,
all that stuff you said.
because it
I
might
would,
be different for men.
for me, I would say, one, set your intentions, put your
Mm,
intentions out there. Like I
I didn't
was
even talk about that. Yeah, that's
I
right.
was, I went a whole year. Um, no, it was like maybe 6 months before I started, like, maybe like 7 months before I started getting out there. But I was slow. But I knew I wanted to be in a relationship with someone. It wasn't heavy and like all of that. I just wanted to be in it. I want to interact with some women. I just wanted to see what was up. So put your intention out there. That's the first thing. Like what it is that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Put it out there. I was on the apps, because we was, yeah, it was I'm trying to think. We were in
Oh,
COVID,
yeah. I would say it
so
was.
it was. But if since we're coming out of COVID, put your intention out there, emotionally, mentally, maybe go to some places or whatever, and then forget about it. Don't
Yeah.
don't sweat it.
Yeah.
Don't, like, just even forget that you're interested in being with someone.
Yeah.
Just dive into who you are and what you are, and what it is that you're about, your career, and just really focus on developing yourself and getting to know yourself. Like, date yourself for a couple minutes,
Date yourself,
you
and
know.
but that intention part, yeah, I'm sorry, go,
No,
but
no, no,
that's
no. I
huge.
mean, but date yourself. You know, go places by yourself without like looking around. Like, oh, is that the chick? Is that her? Like, what's up, girl? How you doing? Was it? Just don't focus on what your intention is. Actually, just forget about it almost, because when the moment that I turned I deleted them apps off my phone. I was like, I hate y'all. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear. No, I don't want to hear from none of y'all ever again. The
Ah.
moment I did that, and just folks started focusing on what I was, trying to really rebuild, my life at the time. Um, you popped up. Like, you was just like,
Hello.
bing. Like, as soon as I did that.
Yeah, and that intention piece. God, I keep saying this is it, but the intention piece, I actually kept. And so this is for my. I'm going to speak on behalf of my divorced women or women going through divorce. I know I need to talk more about this. I know that I have, you know, having been an artist and having had a public kind of face. I think it's important. I'm very passionate about people kind of knowing the authenticity behind things. So for those who are, when I was, people, I heard somebody talk about this is so important. The point at which we announce that the point at which a person announces or decides to maybe let people know that they're divorced is not the point at which they decided, right? That is the point where for me, it was the point that I start talking about. It was the point, it was after the divorce was final. It was once I felt comfortable to handle the energy having to come back, because I knew there was going to be a lot of energy. So there was a lot of work years before that. Okay. Years before that. And so intention wise, I would say a strong 5 years ago, I already kind of knew, I knew inside some things that I needed to do. So I started setting intentions of how I wanted my life to be, period. And whether it was going to be in this married life or not. But one of the things that I was very, very much on is that I need a deeper connection. And I would write that and I would journal that. And as things started to shift in my marriage and I made the decision to separate and made the decision, then when I would write these letters. I started writing letters to the connection, not knowing what, just to a soul, saying this is how, when it is time for me to experience, love again or what have you, this is the feeling that I want, and I'm looking really forward to it. And I would just write. I mean, for months, these intentions, and like you said, just put it away. It wasn't like I wrote the intention, then I'm like, all right, where you at now? Where you at? Is it you? Like wasn't that at all? It was just, okay, that was fun. It was cathartic. It made me feel like, wow, like, and the more I did it, the more it's like, wow, this is actually gonna happen. Like I was believing it really much. So I was carrying my life with a knowing. So I wasn't like searching, because it was annoying, a knowing, like I know it. That's what was happening for me. So when certain people would show up, because gentlemen had shown up before Barry, and it was like, okay, yeah, I can talk to you, but I have a knowing going on. I kind of know what, whatever. So I can have fun, we can talk, whatever. It's COVID, so we can't really do nothing, but we can whatever. But when I met you, it was like, oh, this is that, the knowing got kind of reignited. But even with that, I just like, you know what? I've I've done relationship heavy. I got kids, I got career, I got stuff. Let's just vibe. Let's just see. And it's been cool. And I think that's where we still are, is just enjoying the companionship,
Right. The journey,
the journey.
the soul journey, because
Yeah. And I know it can be different if you've never been in marriage before, you've never had a long-term relationship, or if you're wanting children and you're wanting time to move a little bit quicker. But I still think all things are true. You still got to really get to know self. And I think that's when you're going to have healthy situations. So, all right. Well, this has been good. Okay, you got to move your elbow because I want to put something down. All right. So, this is what we do first and third Sunday. But the last Sunday of the month, we do something else. So while I'm setting this up, just to let people know, can you share? Oh, wait, we got a comment. Hold on. I see a comment. I've had to ask myself why I move in a space that doesn't allow casual. Oh, and then it went away. Oh, Letitia.
Maybe that's the
Yeah.
thought. It doesn't allow casual.
Oh, I got it. I've had to ask myself why I move in a space that doesn't allow casual kind of things. Yeah, I think getting curious about that. What is that about? Casual dating. There we go, Letitia. Thank you. Look at that 11:11. You posted that at 11:11. That's significant. I'm just saying I'm all into that. That's another we're going to do another thing about numbers. But yeah, and I'm glad and Letitia, when you've asked yourself why you move in that, have you come up with answers what that is about? Because I think that's getting curious, because there is something about that, that you don't allow the casual. And I'm kind of the same way. I mean, casual means one thing to me, but if you can't get deep, if I can't ask you questions, we got a thing. You said I see 11:24 all the time. Pay attention to that. And Letitia, we got to do a discussion about, because we have somebody who is into numbers and angel numbers and so forth. But yeah, so talk about and thank you, Letitia. Thank you for commenting on that and participating in the comments. And others, if you're watching this playback, make sure you comment and say kind of for you, what are you curious about? What are your tendencies? What are you looking for when it comes to soulmate? What are your just any thoughts, responses? I've come up with answers that cause a separation. Yeah. But if it's healthy, okay, if it's serving a space for you to still grow, then I think that's important, and you can release and let go, because releasing and let go is a huge part of development. It's a huge part of growth. But talk about spiritual sanctuary or spiritual shift sanctuary. And while you talk about that, I'm going to put up how people can, if you're interested, sign up for it. But what is, because that's the other thing that we do together, but that is not on a live, that is only in a membership that's just $10 a month. So maybe talk about that, and I'll put this on here for people.
So Spiritual Shift Sanctuary is a space where seekers of wisdom and spirituality and knowledge come to learn and to discuss deeper issues around spirituality, basically. And it's non-judgmental. It's open to whoever is a seeker, is a real seeker after more knowledge and more truth and more information about whatever it is that you are seeking, as it relates to spirituality. I tend to enter into the conversation through the Christian lens, even though I don't identify as a Christian per se. I was raised a Christian, fundamental evangelical Christian. I was raised in a very unknown denomination for Black people, I guess. But it was an amazing experience for me. I eventually went to seminary, graduated, and was in the ministry for a little bit, and then I wasn't. So I usually do a talk around a particular area. Last time we did
It's a lot about symbology
and the Christian idea of resurrection and the cross, and really what that mean, what it meant way before Christianity, and what it actually means in Christianity, and then what it means in the larger scope of our spiritual soul journey, what it actually means. So we talked about the resurrection, the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, the cross, the Son. So that's what we talked about, and it was a really good
Yeah, it
conversation
was. It was good.
we had. So that's kind of stuff that we talk about in Spiritual Shift Sanctuary, and it's not church, it's not Bible study. It's just a real what we're looking to do is to build just a community of real seekers, like if people that are really searching for a way to connect to their spirit, their soul, um, and understand kind of like what this whole religious thing is supposed to be about. That's what Spiritual Shift Sanctuary
Yeah.
is about.
Yeah, it's just to be like, I'm glad you said the word community because I think it's important to build communities, outside of maybe the traditional spaces, particularly right now, because there's a lot going on. And I think, we have to begin to allow ourselves to be open to maybe hearing different perspectives so that we can keep building upon, as opposed to, that doesn't mean to let go of what you currently do spiritually. It's just to hopefully add on. And, I think we have to kind of stop in the spiritual world saying either or, but saying
Mhm.
and this.
Right.
So I think it lends itself for that. So, all right. Well, this has been awesome. We would love for you guys to obviously join us with that. I think also as we come up with our topics, if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, or you in on these YouTube live sessions, you can email info@findingyourvoiceafter40 and .com, and that's my company, Finding Your Voice After 40. Finding Your Voice is the name of the company. And then I say after 40 because most of my clients are over 40 years old. So this has, yeah, because this is an interesting generation, our generation Xers, although millennials are starting to hit that 40s as well now. So,
Mhm.
but that is it. This has been fun. This was way longer than we
We were
ever
trying to
do.
keep it at 45, but
Well, oh my God, that's
I told
really
you it gets
bad.
it
Like we
gets
went
good, and we
way
just
over.
right. It gets good, and we just keep talking.
Yeah, so we needed to do that in two parts. But thank you for hanging in. If you watched, if you saw any part of it, go back to the replay or just start it from the beginning so you can hear more, hear our story, but also hear a little bit more about what a soulmate is, in our opinion, as well as some things you can do, some questions you can begin to ask yourself, particularly if you're on a spiritual journey. I think having a soulmate on a is a very helpful way to keep, or connecting in relationship is a very good way to get yourself um, moving within your journey. And there's periods of things that you do for yourself, but there's also periods of connection that we need to help us, to push us, to put mirrors in us. Even having children is another dynamic way. Before we close out, I think we might have a couple new comments. Let me see. Letitia, thank you, girl, so much for talking. I want to read this because and not leave it just hanging. I've been extremely intentional in releasing and being open to receiving all that is for me. I'm just beginning my journey and learning to surrender. Ah, I love that. I love surrendering is probably one of the hardest, yet one of the most effective ways of letting process happen. And she said that was my struggle initially. Thank you. I'm glad you ran over. Yeah, because you wouldn't have been able to see. So it was intentional. It was, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Letitia.
congratulations, and
Yeah.
keep moving in the journey. And it,
Keep moving.
even what happens, I find, is that the struggle, when we go through the struggle, we're more open to the lesson. So it's not that struggles don't happen. They do, absolutely, all the time. But I know for myself, when struggle happens, I'm more apt to seek the lesson than I am just the pain. So, all right.
All right.
Well, we're here again. You guys have a beautiful Sunday, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Peace.
All right.
All right, bye.
Peace.